What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Scyushi, and we are back in some more Genshin Impact. Today we're going to be talking about Gorou, the new puppy dogger 4-star character that's going to be coming with Itto's character banner. So just taking a quick peek at my calendar. So the version 2.3 should hit on the 23rd of November, but we're going to end up having an Albedo and Eula rerun banners first. So then a couple weeks after that, December 14th, is when Itto and Gorou will more than likely end up being in the game. And these two characters go hand in hand with one another. In fact, I would say that if you're not super duper interested in Itto, Gorou is probably going to end up fitting into your team a lot better, just because Itto is extremely greedy, whereas Gorou has a lot of benefits, but we'll get into those in a bit. So bang, that's going to end up being the Ascension card. I'll put a link in the description for those of you that just want the Ascension card and just, you know, yeet on out of here. You don't gotta watch the rest because you already know everything that's going on with this character. But in short, he's going to end up being a Geo Bow user and is going to end up taking resources from the mechanical array. So go and fight this guy and you're going to end up getting you know, geo crystals as well as the boss drop. If you haven't actually fought this boss, first and foremost, there are two ways of doing it. So you can either go all the way up to Jinren Island, and right here where my marker is, there's actually a portal you can go to that will warp you down to the boss. Otherwise, you have to get involved with one of the main quests in Inazuma, which is actually going to end up being right here where my marker is, if I'm not mistaken. There's like a shrine maiden, and then you basically got to end up getting an item so that you can go underground and so on and so forth. I got another video that actually talks about how you get underground, but basically you have to be able to fight this guy, and there is the quick and easy way of just doing it right up here. So you're going to be fighting it over and over and over again, and it's going to be really, really terrible. But then he's also going to end up costing Sango Pearls, which Sango Pearls you can only get on Watatsumi Island. So I would recommend that you end up checking the official Genshin interactive map, because you can actually just mark the location of all the resources. There's some around here and kind of just around the coastline and so on and so forth. But I mean, either way, it's not a difficult resource to get. It's just kind of annoying just because Watatsumi Island is so difficult to navigate. But it's not going to end up being nearly as annoying as gathering spectral hearts, which is gotten off of specters. So while there is quite a few specters in Watatsumi Island, I would actually recommend that you go to the Thunder Island, because there is a ton of spectrals just along the edge here that you can end up just killing over and over again. Well, I mean, obviously on a daily cooldown, but either way, you can end up just going and grabbing them. You're probably going to want to grind them with your friends because those enemies are annoying to grind. But he's going to end up taking those resources, and then from Signora, he's going to want the Flame Heart. Keep in mind, both Itto and Gorou use items from Signora, so it depends which character you want, but you won't be able to max them both out. And then he's going to end up taking the Scroll of Light for his talent materials, which is Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that's just going to end up being in the book domain that's right up here. So you're basically just looking for the icon that is the Torii Gate. So that's going to end up being this one right here, right? Yeah. So you gather that, and then of course Spectral Heart is going to be used for his talents as well. All right, so let's actually move into his elemental skills. So the Inazuma all-around defense. This deals AoE geo damage and sets up a general's war banner. This war banner is just going to end up staying right where you ended up putting it. So it's actually very similar to Albedo's flower and how that works. However, it's more so going to end up buffing all of your characters. So I think that this is why a lot of people potentially end up going for Gorou, even if they don't go for Itto. So it provides the following buffs to active characters within the ability's AoE based on the number of party members in field at the time who are of Geo element. So this is going to be for a lot of weirdos like me, where I already have Albedo and Zhongli in my party. All I'm going to end up doing is swapping, well, either I'll swap Albedo out or swap Raiden out for Gorou, and then that would already end up working. But I want to end up using Itto, so I don't want to have like a full 4 Geo team, which you don't have to. You're only going to end up seeing the biggest benefit by having 3 Geo characters in your party. Gorou does count as one of them. So moving on, the point is that when you have this banner down, having 1 Geo party member grants standing firm, which is a defense bonus. Having 2 Geo party members adds the impregnable effect, cast resistance, or grants resistance to interruption. And keeping in mind that 1 Geo party member in the party that gives you the defense buff is always going to trigger because Gorou counts as that one character, right? So then, having 3 Geo party members in the party adds the crunch effect, which grants Geo bonus damage. So that is really, really good for somebody like me, where I have my big old Zhongli in the party and stuff, right? So only one general's war banner that Gorou created himself can exist on the field at any time. Characters can only benefit from one general war banner at a time, so you can't stack it, is what they're saying. When members leave the field, the field's effects will last for 2 seconds. So you can put down the banner, and then as you leave it, you got the bonus for 2 seconds before it dissipates, you know, or before it all ends up going away. The hold is just so that you can designate the location of the skill, and then this is going to end up being how it scales. So obviously you can see it just does damage itself, but then on top of that, the bonuses that it gives, the defense increase is most of all fine-tuned towards Itto, because almost all of his abilities end up seeing a huge benefit to his damage by having additional defense, right? Which means potentially he's going to end up being really tanky, but I guess Gorou would as well. The Geo damage bonus is going to be 15%, which could be big. The duration of the banner is 10 seconds, and the cooldown is also 10 seconds. So it's something that you can keep up constantly, which I like. That's really interesting, because usually we always end up having a slightly longer cooldown. So that's kind of what I mean when I say Gorou's going to end up fitting in with so many people just to end up giving those extra buffs, or at least I should say fitting in with Geo characters. I should stop saying that he's going to be fitting in with everybody, because obviously this isn't going to be a meta-friendly character because he's kind of greedy as well. But for someone like me, where I already have 2 Geo in my party, it's a no-brainer that I'll get Gorou involved. So moving on to his Elemental Burst, which is his ultimate ability. So displaying his valor as a general, Gorou deals AoE Geo damage and creates a field known as General's Glory to embolden his comrades. I like that word, embolden. I don't know why. So this field has the following properties. The difference between this and the War Banner, by the way, is that it will actually be on Gorou, so you can walk around with it and keep the AoE effect. So it has the same effect as the General's War Banner created, providing buffs to active characters within the ability's AoE based on the number of party members whose element is Geo, but it will also end up moving with your active character. So it generates 1 crystal collapse every 1.5 seconds that deals AoE Geo damage to 1 opponent within its area of effect. Okay. It will pull 1 elemental shard created by crystallized reaction within its AoE to your active character's position every 1.5 seconds. So really defensive. If you don't have a character like Zhongli or Noelle, it could end up being really beneficial to use this guy as a tank, or more specifically as a healer, which we'll get into a little bit later because it's more so tied to his constellations. If a general's war banner created by Gorou himself currently exists on the field, when this ability is used, it will be destroyed. Okay, there you go. It answered my question. Sorry, guys. So yeah, you put down your E, you use your ult, it destroys your E. In addition, for the duration of General's Glory, Gorou's elemental skill will no longer spawn the General's War Banner. If Gorou falls, the effect of his General's Glory would be cleared. So yeah, basically it's just, I don't really understand the point of using his ult over his E, other than I guess it's more defensive and also just gives higher scalings, right? Because the skill damage is actually based off of your defense. The crystal collapse damage, as you can see, is also based off of defense. The duration of the ult is 9 seconds, while the cooldown is 20 seconds, and the energy cost is 80. Ooh, that's pretty brutal, but I mean, he's a weirdo character, dude. Like, I kind of like it, but it's also kind of very, very strange at the same time, just because of the fact that they're really trying to push Geo characters with these two, which, I mean, it's cool. It's not like I dislike it, but I'm kind of a Geo main, and I'm kind of dumb when it comes to using reactions and stuff. So it seems like these characters were just made for me, you know? So anyways, moving on to his passive talents. So Seeker of Shinies, which I love the way that I love that they called it that. Displays the location of nearby resources unique to Inazuma on the minimap. Thank God. We finally have a character that can end up doing that effectively, which is really, really nice. And then his next passive is increases all party members' defense by 25% for 12 seconds after using Juga forward unto victory, which again is his ultimate ability. So I guess additional to the passive buffs that you end up getting from the ult, you also just happen to get 12 seconds of 25% more defense, which I guess that's why you want to use your ult. especially because Itto benefits from defense. And then last but not least, Gorou receives the following damage bonus to his attacks based on his defense. Inazuma's all-around defense skill damage is increased by 156% of his defense, which is his E ability. And then his ultimate and crystallized collapse damage is increased by 15.6% of defense. I think that the other, surely that's a typo, and the all-around defense is also supposed to only have a 15.6% defense buff, right? Surely that's a typo. Surely it doesn't give you that much damage based on your defense, right? Now I'm really curious to have these characters in my hands, dude. I want to see what they end up doing. Okay, so moving on to the constellations. These are cracked, okay? This is, especially for a 4-star character, if you have his constellations high enough, it completely changes the way you end up using this guy. And this is something that I really, really like with my constellations. I like it when it changes a character, right? And changes the way that I end up using them. Itto's constellations, as I've talked about in my Itto video, are a little bit lackluster in that they kind of just increase his damage and that's it. They don't change his playstyle that much. Other than, I guess, you can play more aggressive. But anyways, going back to Gorou's constellation. So his C1 is when characters, other than Gorou himself, within the area of effect of the General's War Banner or the, his E or his ultimate ability created by Gorou himself, deal Geo damage to opponents. The cooldown of Gorou's ultimate ability is decreased by 2 seconds, and the effect can occur once every 10 seconds. So basically, you're just going to be spamming war banners all the time and being able to use your ult way more. So that's already a really, really good C1, just because you're going to end up having the benefit of Geo characters in your party are going to really benefit Gorou, and he's going to end up benefiting them in turn. So his C2 is for the duration of General's Glory. Its duration is increased by 1 second when a nearby active member obtains Elemental Shard from Crystallization. This effect can only be triggered no more than once every 0.1 seconds, and its duration can be increased by a maximum of 3 seconds. So I guess they put that slight cooldown in there so you don't just go and just get like all the crystallization and get the max 3-second bonus. But I mean, that would already end up being really, really good. His C3 obviously makes his E ability increase by 3 levels. And then his C4, this is kind of cool. I mean, he's got some really nice stuff later on, but when General's Glory is in the impregnable or crunch states, meaning having more Geo characters, it will also heal the active character within its area of effect every 1.5 seconds for 50% of Gorou's own defense. That right there transforms him into a healing character. If you have a full Geo party. But still, that's crazy, dude. I mean, again, you only benefit from having 3 Geo in your party at the maximum. You don't need to have 4, just to reiterate that effect. But that is really, really cool. I really like that. Still not going to end up being enough incentive for me to drop down the amount of money that would require to end up doing it. But the fact is that you can get constellations on a 4-star character a lot easier than a 5-star like Itto. And so this might be for the Dolphins, because it really is going to end up being helpful so long as you're a freak like me who has a Geo party, Geo supremacy. So anyways, his C5 is obviously going to increase his ultimate by 3 levels. And then his C6. So for 12 seconds after using his E or his ultimate ability, Gorou will increase the crit damage of all party members' Geo damage based on the level of Gorou's field at the time of the skill's use. So standing firm, which is just 1 Geo character, increases it by 10%. Then 20% for 2 Geo characters and 40% for having 3 Geo characters in your party. This effect cannot stack and will take reference from the last instance of the effect that is triggered. That is basically, it's so dumb and weird the way they word it, but basically it is going to end up giving you crit damage increase only to Geo damage. So it doesn't, once again, it doesn't benefit anyone other than having a full Geo party. But that is insane. That's an extra 40% crit damage to any Geo character, which obviously is going to work hand in hand with Itto and his ultimate, which literally changes all of his attacks into Geo damage, right? So you kind of see where they're going with all of this. All right, so now let's talk about builds and what you're going to be going for here. I just want to take a quick peek at these because I wanted to see how these bows will end up scaling. Generally speaking, I think one of Gorou's best in slots is probably going to end up being either one of these crafted bows. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but more than likely it's going to be the battle pass bow or something, or if there's a defense bow, which more than likely there is, and I just don't know that much about it. Frankly speaking, I don't really use bow characters, so I'm sorry, I don't really have that much experience in terms of the weapon type that you're going to be going for. But you would either be going for attack, maybe energy recharge if you want to end up spamming your abilities all the time. Otherwise, just standard crit rate, or I'm sure there's a defense bow that I just probably don't have, which would end up scaling with him very, very well. But the way that you're going to end up building his stats, if I can go over to my Noelle, because basically she's going to end up being the exact same, because Gorou scales a lot off of defense. So you would end up just using a defensive weapon or, you know, maybe a battle pass weapon or so on and so forth, just to end up giving you that increased damage and so on. Generally speaking, you're actually going to be going for the new artifacts. So that's why it doesn't matter too much if I get into detail about what you could use right now, because the best in slot is going to end up being the new artifacts. But generally speaking, for stats, you know, any extra defense is going to end up being nice. So you would go for the sands. You would definitely want to have defense main stat. And then for the goblet, you would probably want to have the geo damage. Maybe defense. It depends, because if you're just using him at 100% as support, he might scale a lot better just by having his defense up, because he's going to end up benefiting, his war banner is going to benefit more from the defense you know, stats. So even with his hat, you might want to either go just a standard DPS build where you would end up using you know, crit rate, crit damage, so on and so forth, or again, maybe, just maybe, I'd have to test it out myself, he might benefit from having full defense, like 100%. But usually it doesn't end up scaling as well as you would expect. So I'm assuming that you'll probably just end up doing the standard DPS build, which is going to be defense, geo, and crit rate, or crit damage, depending. Generally speaking, though, you're going to be using the new artifact set, which, let me pull this up right here. So the new artifact set is going to end up being on the Fog Island, and there's going to be two different sets. So there's going to be one set that is specifically set up for Kokomi, or just healers in general, and then there's going to end up being the new set set up for Itto and Gorou, where the 2-piece set gives you 30% increased defense, and then the 4-piece set is a character with this artifact set will obtain the curiosity effect in the following conditions. When on the field, the character gains 1 stack after hitting an opponent with a geo attack, triggering a maximum of once every 0.3 seconds. When off the field, the character gains 1 stack every 3 seconds. Curiosity can stack up to 4 times, and each stack will provide 6% defense and 6% geo damage bonus. Let's go. When 6 seconds pass without gaining a curiosity stack, 1 will be lost. So basically every 6 seconds you'll end up losing the stack. So you can end up benefiting from having the stacks. Like, basically you can pop him out, get some of the stacks and stuff, swap off of him, do whatever you gotta do, and then you could swap back to him and build up the stacks before they end up expiring, so long as you just do it within a 6 second period, which is pretty cool. So personally, as far as how you would end up leveling up his talents, honestly speaking, I'm probably not even going to touch his normal attacks, and I'm just going to level up his E and his ultimate, probably in that order, because his E ability is probably a bit more of a priority just because the damage buffs that it gives, whereas his ult is kind of a little bit more defensive, which I don't really need as much. That said, the ultimate is going to end up scaling that defense, which is very, very nice, and ultimately going to end up making my Itto a lot stronger. So probably prioritize E and then ult, and then his normal attack is only if you're actually trying to use him as a damage dealer or just wanting to actually tag enemies with him, but generally speaking, it's not fully recommended. Anyways, yeah, that's gonna do it for me, gamers. So that already ended up covering the 2 new characters. I already have the Itto video available for you guys, but really excited about them, despite the fact that they're weeks and weeks and weeks away. The update itself looks pretty cool as well, but generally speaking, that's gonna do it. So if you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, be sure to smash like, sub for more, buy the merch you want to support the channel, and have yourselves a wonderful day. Bye, guys.